Why must you be snooping around here? I've not long for your stalling. If you have nothing to say, then I request you leave.
Running away again, Campbell?
That isn't my name anymore.
Yet you contain fragments of it, holding on to the precious memories you once loved.
Enough! Why are you meddling in my affairs? This isn't your turf.
Have you seen any suspicious activity?
About
life forms from another world. You know about them, don't you? I can see it in your eyes. Just how longer are you going to keep lying to everyone?
Nonsense. I've heard and seen nothing about other life forms. And how is that any of the clan's business?
It is an intrusion upon this world. Rule 52, page 23 of the 2023 official global rulebook. Any other dimensional or extraterrestrial life form must be captured and brought to the Master for experimentation and dissection.
If you think this is a way you can bring me back, you're sorely mistaken. Be out of my sight or face retribution.
I know someone's here, and we will not rest until they are found.
When you're a bigger YouTube channel, 100 subscribers doesn't seem that exciting of an achievement, but for smaller YouTubers such as I, makes it a bit of a milestone. Not to mention that thanks for appearing in 2 of Tony Sonic's videos made me amass double the subscribers in just a few months, and I've started this channel 3 years ago. But even still, I can't thank all of you enough. Those who have tolerated my old crappy stuff to the improved stuff I do nowadays, and for that deserves a commemoration. I've made a poll about the ideas I thought of for my 100 sub special, and to be honest, I wanted favorite games to win, but rules are rules and I must do the most voted one. Video games I feel are more than just entertainment. When diving deep into narratives and stories of a world you immerse yourselves into, that immersiveness allows deep connections between how you personally feel about the characters. Whether it be a main character, side character, villain, and heck, even a background character. There's no surprise that there's a lot of memorable characters and forgotten gems lurking in the shadows just waiting to be mentioned. As I will talk about my 10 favorite characters in video games, and whoo boy! Let me tell you how hard this list was to make. There are just honestly so many to choose from, as a lot of characters are just so excellently written and purely entertaining to the point that picking only 10 was a struggle in itself to comprehend. Heck, some of them are from games I've just started playing very recently, so I've had to consider a lot of choices wisely on who truly deserves to be on the list. Even still though, we just let the characters be characters no matter how insufferable and monotonous some can be. And here we go with this when I just said about considering choices wisely. Even still, while I've only played the game quite recently, I can't deny that Xenoblade has a fantastic cast. One of the best I've ever seen in a game. I find every single character to be absolutely brimming with heart and soul, with depressing backstories and all around how each tends to grow through the 30-hour and over journey. And even all these years, Minato Boy still ends up as one of Nintendo's greatest protagonists. Given how most probably never even knew about Shulk, as Xenoblade didn't originally make it to the West, but even when it did, most people, even myself, didn't even know about him when his Smash 4 reveal trailer dropped. Playing Xenoblade for the first time this year and understanding closely, I can truly understand why he is so beloved, because he's a character I have high respect for. We start to know Shulk as a researcher in Colony 9, learning and researching about the Minato, its powers and abilities, and wanting to learn its secrets. Then the attack at Colony 9 happened, and Shulk was able to wield the Minato and was given the power of visions, which allows him to see into the future. When his love interest Fiora was killed by a Mechon with a face, he set off on a journey with his best friend Ryan to slay over Mechon and destroy Metal Face. Over time, he meets others along the way from not only his race of Homs, but also others from the other races of Noppon and Mahai Entia. Eventually, however, his goals moved on from getting revenge for Fiora, but after finding out she's alive and landing on the Mechonis, learning the truth about the residence fair, decides to find some way of how Bionis and Mechonis can live in peace instead of feeding each other a never-ending bloodlust. Shulk is amazing for a load of reasons, since looking deeper into the story makes you realize that he doesn't make it a generic revenge plot. Instead, it adds on to become more than that. Most revenge stories such as No More Heroes 2 just go from wanting to kill the bad guy, go for a lot to get to said bad guy, you reach him, kill him, the story ends. That's not the same case here. When Shulk realizes that the metal-faced Mechon are being piloted by Homs, mind controlled by the leader of the Mechonis, starts to believe things differently. In spite of Mooncar's betrayal at the Battle of Sword Valley and joining forces with the Mechon, Shulk saved him from Dunban not because he wanted to, but because they're killing his own kind even when we join the enemy out of their own volition or mind controlled is not the right thing to do, and finds out if there's a better way to resolve these issues. Shulk's also a very kind soul as well. He is willing to help those he doesn't know that well and also leads his friends in his party in the right direction thanks to his visions and decisions. I really don't think that there's a better character in Xenoblade Chronicles than Shulk, depending on who you ask that is. But Rex, Elma, and Noah don't come close to the high amount of respect that Shulk gives off. I really feel it. Mortal Kombat is a series with a lot of characters, so much so that prior to the NetherRealm Studio Mortal Kombat games, Mortal Kombat Armageddon had every single character that was ever playable in a Mortal Kombat game. And since that there are a lot of them, you'll definitely get characters people love, mixed about, don't care about that much, the Putrid, Su Hao. But even still, there are a lot of fan favorites amongst the Mortal Kombat fandom, and for that, my one is to go to Sub-Zero. Now, the Sub-Zero I'm referring to is the Kuai Liang version, originally known as Tundra, not his brother Bi-Han that became Noob Saibot. Sub-Zero originally had the identity of Tundra, but then after Scorpion killed Bi-Han, his younger brother, Kuai Liang became the new Sub-Zero to honor his brother, all while entering the Mortal Kombat tournament only to face Scorpion himself. When the Lin Kuei started the Cyber Initiative, transforming every Lin Kuei warrior into cyborgs, Kuai Liang was amongst those against that plan and left the clan, which painted a target upon his back, with Cyrax Sector and Kuai Liang's best friend Smoke hunting him down. Kuai Liang ended up being amongst those being one of Earthrealm's defenders against Shao Kahn. In the NetherRealm timeline, however, Smoke was saved from cyberization by Raiden, but Sub-Zero wasn't. But they did manage to reprogram him to defect the Lin Kuei and rejoin as a defender of Earthrealm. Sadly though, he was one of those killed by Sindel and resurrected as one of Quan Chi's revenants, until being restored back to normal alongside Scorpion and Jax. He also reformed the Lin Kuei to dedicate them to Earthrealm's protection by killing Sector and the rest of his followers to start the clan again from scratch, and also attempts to end the rivalry between his clan and the Shirai Ryu by revealing to Hanzo about the Shirai Ryu's massacre. Sub-Zero may not be the nicer character of the Mortal Kombat universe, but he is very honorable to those he trusts and deems ally. Plus, I may be a bit of a sucker for cryomancers. With a great usage of his ice abilities, whether it be in cutscenes or in gameplay, Sub-Zero never disappoints me. Because of his movesets, he's usually the first character I ever pick when I play a Mortal Kombat game for the first time. Gameplay doesn't truly affect how I feel about a character. In fact, a lot of great characters can end up with bad gameplay. I guess it can't help when it comes to the current Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei clan. Prior to the end of the Patriots and his Revengeance, Raiden was just a normal human soldier. A Liberian American born in 1983, his parents were killed by one of Big Boss's clones, Solid Snake, and decided to take the child in for himself. Jack ended up becoming a killer soldier in a young boy unit called the Army of the Devil, fighting in the Liberian Civil War. And then when after the war ended, Jack was removed from his position and was taken to foster care in the US. The Patriots eventually found him, injected him with nanomachines, and necessarily manipulated his memories. But then later on in his life, his skills were noticed by the US Army's Task Force 21 in the mid-2000s. Then we meet the love of his life in New York, Rose. During the events of Metal Gear Solid 2 and the Big Shell incident, Jack was assigned to infiltrate the facility to learn of its construction and has been given the codename Raiden. His original codename was Snake, but the name had to be changed due to the leader also having the codename of Solid Snake, turning out to be George Sears, aka Solid Snake, Raiden's adoptive father. Raiden didn't get the best introduction since his character started off completely unlikable, but I feel like his hatred wasn't necessary. You may be playing as him rather than Snake, but character-wise, Raiden was quite interesting to learn about, both backstory and about his personal life, especially with the romance he has with Rose. Years later in Metal Gear Solid 4, Raiden comes back as a badass cyborg during parts of the Guns of the Patriots incident over in South America, and he became even more interesting. Unfortunately, Raiden resents Rose's existence mainly due to him believing that she married the Colonel and having a miscarriage when Rose was pregnant. But it was all staged. The marriage registration, the miscarriage, all was to protect Rose and the kid from the Patriots. So with Raiden finally understanding the truth and being able to face his wife and son, he was able to get a happily ever after and to be able to live a normal life with Rosemary and John. But then the events of Metal Gear Rising with Vengeance comes around with Raiden back to being more cyberized, which makes sense design-wise considering the original idea for the story was taking place before MGS4, back when the game was originally conceptualized as Metal Gear Solid Rising. But with Raiden working for Maverick Security Consulting Incorporation to provide security and taking down the private military company Desperado before they destabilize the peaceful nations and bring war back into the spotlight. As a whole in the game, Raiden attempts to leave the past behind back when he was Jack the Ripper during the Civil War, and thinks about the very nature of justice, but eventually his past returns and his ideals change from justice to anti. It really goes to show how much Raiden has changed since his introduction, as a child soldier to having his memories manipulated to remembering them again, being lied to and losing his body causing him to be cyberized, and eventually realizing his true nature. Jack really has grown a lot. Keep on fighting, Jack the Ripper. The war still rages within. Anime fans easily know about the tsundere trope. Tsunderes are usually hated upon because they're jerks to the main protagonist even when they love them. Personally speaking, I love tsunderes. Heck, I'm kinda one myself, though I'm not as bad. Even though they're jerks, they can be unironically funny, and when their cute sides show, they really show. Maybe that's why I really love Natsuki from Doki Doki Literature Club. Definitely not as popular as say Yuri and Monica, and I was originally wanting to put Yuri on this list so bad, since me and her are introverted and shy despite her being a yandere and I'm not. But I feel like Natsuki is very underappreciated and kinda overhated. She's a jerk to some, but she is very knowledgeable upon poetry and literature, and even though her messages are hard to understand to some, she really does manage to keep the show don't tell rule in storytelling very well. Because she's so passionate about reading and poetry, she advises others on how to improve their work, giving them a willingness to learn. Natsuki, I feel, is the best critic of the entire club. Her critiquing can come off as a little bit harsh, but her advice really helps out and even says how much you've improved your skills as a poet. Yes, the three other girls do the exact same thing to MC, but Natsuki brings it out the best. She's trying not to be too nice, but she's also trying not to be too mean. Her level as a critic is just right. Yes, I made a Goldilocks and the Three Bears reference, and no, I'm not going to apologize. And hey, with her softer interior inside her angry exterior, she could be the softest and kindest girl of all the four girls in the literature club. She cares for all her friends, even during the second act when she is very worried about how Yuri is acting very strangely and terrifying. Her softer side also comes with her hobbies like reading manga and watching mostly anime in the slice of life genre. And of course, baking. I really want to try out her cupcakes someday too. If she was real, that is. Sadly, she isn't. Unfortunately, there will be some mentions about the relationship between Natsuki and her dysfunctional father, mainly about him disagreeing about what she likes to do, and abusing her, which is why Natsuki uses her abrasive nature as a coping mechanism. Even if you hate her, her nature is something that has to be understood. She comes from a very dysfunctional family that judges her hobbies and interests, hence why she is very hesitant about sharing them. And also why she despises being called cute in spite of liking things that are cute. She's lonely, but she's desperate to crave attention from anyone. The second act also comprises of a more obsessive and possessive Natsuki that if the MC hangs out with Yuri during the act, act. Natsuki becomes flirty mean to jealous mean, one time literally asking a player if he wants her to suffer or to stop hanging out with Yuri and hang out with her, leading up to Natsuki having black glitches across her eyes, blood rushing down her face resembling crying blood, and snapping her own neck, rushing towards the screen and fades to black with end. For lasting consequences? None. Booting the game back up will have no consequences. Natsuki remains intact and the literature club is seemingly normal. Thank you, Monica, for realizing I've had 2 nightmares about you and Yuri. Literally. But even still, while I wouldn't say Natsuki is cute, I find her to be the most misunderstood doki in the entire fanbase and outside. She's harsh, but due to her abusive background and abrasive nature, she is someone I feel very sorry for. But when she's nice, she is the nicest. She wants to wash away all the loneliness buried inside her darkened heart, and her hobbies and interests are something no one should ever be judged for. Move aside, Sayori, Monica, and Yuri. Natsuki is the perfect girl for MC. And since there are a lot of DDLC fan stories on YouTube, then I highly recommend My Doki Doki Stalker by Brennerk. I'll put a link down in the description, and don't worry, it doesn't have jump scares. It tells a dark and wholesome love story. It may be a fan story, but it got me to realize my love for Natsuki as a character, and I can thank Brennerk for that. Well, I hope that no one gets mad at me for saying that the next entry is a Final Fantasy character. Put the guns away, people! I have a Velma, and I'm not afraid to use it! No surprise that characters are not the series' strong points. Arguably, the cast is the series' lowest points. But I find that there's a lot of good characters and a lot of characters that are misunderstood like absolute crazy from the fanbase. And after almost 3 years since I made my favorite Final Fantasy characters list, my favorite character remains the same. Despite him having no emotions whatsoever, the one-winged angel Sephiroth is the legit badass of all Final Fantasy. I've already talked about him twice during Final Fantasy month, but there is so much more about him I've never got the chance to actually mention. Sephiroth was a person that started as a hero but fell to the path of evil. He was once the most powerful member of Shinra's elite military division Team Soldier, celebrated as a hero of the Shinra Rutai War. Unfortunately, his fall from grace started after the war where he was sent to Nibelheim, where he discovered that he was a product of a biological experiment combining a human fetus with Genova, an extraterrestrial. Discovering this made him have a hatred for Shinra, evolving into hatred for all life. Since he considers Genova his mother, he attempts to follow in her footsteps and attempt to attain godhood so that Sephiroth can rule over the planet. And so he burns Nibelheim to the ground, killing so many innocents and is assumed dead after confronting Cloud in a Mako reactor nearby. So yeah, the poor guy finally embraces his mom's ideals after finding out he was lied to by Professor Gast. What's also pretty cool about Sephiroth is that he's a fallen hero that attempts to manipulate Cloud for his mayhem and highlighting his mental weakness, which to me is awesome. One of my favorite villain tropes are the manipulators, one that attempt or actually manipulate the hero to join their side, or in some cases do their dirty work for them without the hero knowing of their true intentions. Sephiroth manipulates him because Cloud has Genova cells in him, but I think it is also because Sephiroth just loves to enjoy toying with him too, trying to break him on both a mental and a psychological level. The sword he wields, the Masamune, is a Japanese Odachi blade that is so long that it makes it hard using it in indoor battles and close quarters confrontations, hence why it is generally used for open spaces, and the blade's length usually varies, which I find to be strange, but okay. But it usually measures at least as long as Sephiroth is tall or just slightly longer. Sephiroth is awesome in so many ways. His cool demeanor shows an incredibly dark side to him, even when he's manipulating Cloud. And I like how he's motivated through Genova's past actions, even after the pain that he realized of his alien heritage. Sephiroth is without question not only my favorite villain in video games, but one of my favorite villains in all media. Also, I can't get enough of his voice actors, with props going to Tyler Hoechlin's performance in the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
7 seconds till the end. Time enough for you, perhaps. But what will you do with it? Let's see.
It's awesome to see how much the series changes from game to game. The main character does too. Jack is definitely one of the most underrated protagonists in the PlayStation lineup, especially when he's overshadowed by the 3 other Naughty Dogs. And it's very sad to see him and his franchise not getting more attention it surely deserves. Yeah, back in the day he would have gotten a lot of attention, but nowadays with the franchise's death and decline, Jack became a shadow of the 3 others. The first Jak and Daxter game, A Precursor Legacy, had Jack living on a tropical landscape with his best friend Daxter. In this game, Jack is a silent protagonist, but like others done right, you don't need to have words in order to have a great character development, and having a personality and characteristics. However, with the release of Jak 2, the start of the series changed in tone and setting. So did Jack. After him, Daxter, Samus, and Kira landed in Haven City, they were unfortunately all split up, and Jack ended up in prison in Baron Praxis' prison for a good old 2 years, pumping Jack with Dark Eco as a means of experimentation for the Dark Warrior program, and since Jack is good at channeling Eco since the first game, the Dark Eco didn't kill him. Instead, it gave him a dark form in the name of Dark Jack, and his personality became more gritty, bloody, and even more of a badass, but keeps his sense of heroism, and isn't always gritty since he can still be the shining light under the dark waters of Haven City. You wonder why they call Jack a symbol of hope to the people. Jak 2 as a game gives into more hindsight about what Haven City really is, being in the future, and it turns out that Jack was born in Haven City and was hidden in the past away from core metalheads. Then Jak 3 comes around, building on Jax's character a lot more, less angry compared to Jak 2 as he manages to control most of the dark eco inside him, but he becomes more honorable, more mature, and more heroic. Introducing us a character called Damus into the mix, talking about how he lost his son, and Jack usually mentions how he never knew his father. Build up the pieces together and it turns out that Damus is Jax's father, and that Jack is actually the legendary founder of Haven City and the ally of the precursors, Mar. While Jack himself isn't technically speaking the best character in the series, but he strikes gold with me because of how excellent he's written out of everyone. Starting from silent, to vengeful and angry, and to be the symbol of hope not only Haven City, but the whole world truly deserves. Wait, where are my 100 power cells I needed for the true ending of Precursor Legacy? I thought I'd stashed them in my backpack.
Does Niall really think you and I can be friends? Don't be mistaken.
I've had it! Come on, Bandana Waddle Dee! Round 99, you flubby dipshit! I'm gonna be real, for as much as I love the Sonic series, the cast isn't one of my favorite parts. That's not to say I hate them, but there are better franchises I played that had better lineup of characters to me.
That said, however, there are a lot of characters that shine really bright, and when the flames rise, you can bet our favorite purple cat blazes onward.
Zach? What are you doing here? How did you even get here?
Believe me, man, I wish I knew.
Since this man has arrived here, you could use experience collabing with people on your channel that aren't your nephew. But he has to leave as soon as this segment is finished. Sure, let's just get this over with. My history with Blaze is that she was originally my favorite video game character, but unfortunately, like the quality of my channel, the times have changed. Blaze the cat is a princess from another dimension and keeper of the Soul Emeralds, her world's equivalent to the Chaos Emeralds.
Blaze's first appearance happened in Sonic Rush, where she was suddenly transported to Sonic's world and to reclaim the Soul Emeralds from both Eggmen. She started off doing things by herself, not really needing any help from others, and tends to console her true feelings by keeping her calm and elegant.
However, because Blaze is devoted to her royal position, her strict discipline makes her unfamiliar with the concept of making friends and makes her very socially awkward. But after spending time with the characters, mainly Cream and Sonic, she understands the true meaning of friendships and steps away from her restrictiveness, allowing her to do stuff she couldn't do alone.
Her pyrokinesis is quite a sight to behold, as she uses them in quite a lot of ways, but mainly creating mini tornadoes around her when she jumps, and has abilities that allow her to descend to safety. Another time she uses them in the most unique way is in Sonic 06 at the end of Silver's story, when she sacrifices her own life to save the future.
The only problem I have with Blaze is that she isn't that important of a character anymore, and that she doesn't appear in the games as much anymore. She's not as horrible at disappearances like Cream is. Seriously, Sega, where the hell is she? It's been 12 years since her last appearance in Sonic Generations. And why wasn't she invited to Amy's birthday party in the murderer Sonic the Hedgehog? She is literally her best friend.
cream rant aside, Laura Bailey does a fantastic job voicing Blaze, and to be honest, Blaze is such a cool character in general, although I guess you could say that she's also hot. Oh, come on, guys, someone had to say it.
You have 7 seconds till the end. Time enough for you, perhaps.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Pathetic.
Fans of the series at the time when DMC1 was released only knew Virgil as Nello Angelo, a demon created by Mundus who enslaved Virgil and entrapped him in one of Machiavelli's Black Knight armors. DMC3 serves as a prequel with a taste of who Virgil is, and getting a backstory for both Virgil and his twin brother Dante. As their mother Eva rescued Dante, she was still on the search of saving Virgil too until it ended up killing her. Virgil is the complete opposite of Dante in a lot of ways. While Dante embraces his mom's side of the family and having a lot of more fun with his life, Virgil is a calm and collective-minded being that has an obsession with wanting power to become like his father Sparta. When he returned to DMC5, he had to separate man from devil by using his sword the Yamato, the devil being Urizen and the man V, since Virgil was actually starting to fall apart and deteriorate. Reason why is because he managed to escape from the demon world 6 years after the events of Devil May Cry 4 and rid himself of Mundus' manipulation, but his body started to actually crumble from battle after battle. Oh yeah, and let's not forget that Virgil is the father of Nero. Seems that the woman at the end of Virgil's opening in DMC4 Special Edition likes the bad boy type. A major reason why I love Virgil is not because he's an edgier version of Dante. Okay, it's partly that, but because of how much he's suffered throughout his lifetime, causing him to become an anti-hero. In Devil May Cry 5, he contemplates what would have happened if their mother saved Virgil, but Eva got killed while trying to save Dante. Means to me that he envies Dante's lifestyle, yet Virgil doesn't realize himself that he has parts of Dante's goofy and human nature inside him. The lyrics in his battle theme of DMC5, Bury the Light, tells the story about Virgil's life quite beautifully. The song's badass and motivating as hell, but looking at it deeper, Bury the Light is a tragic song. And while I said in the number 9 segment that gameplay isn't a factor, he is so much fun to play as in every iteration of his gameplay styles. The Special Edition tradition started with DMC3, and every Special Edition adds Virgil as a playable character. So badass to use in combat, especially in Devil May Cry 5 with his insane combos. And the fights against him are some of the greatest bosses in all the series, from his Nello Angelo rivalry battles in DMC1, the fights against him in DMC3, to the insane fun final battle in DMC5 with both the Dante and Nero halves. Virgil is honestly one of the most flawless rivals in any video game I've ever played, and for a good reason. Oh wait, I missed out Virgil in the DMC reboot. Let's just say he's boring, and the reboot DLC Virgil's Downfall has one of the most stupid stories in video game history. So there you go. Characters in the Kingdom Hearts series are super interesting to talk about. Regardless of how you feel about a lot of them, each of them has endured through tragic events in their lives, such as Ventus finding out he's a weapon and went to eternal sleep for years, Aqua getting trapped in the realm of darkness with no one coming to save her, Riku on the road to controlling the darkness inside him, Shio never meant to exist, Axel constantly losing his friends, and of course, Roxas. Sora is an awesome character and all, but I can definitely say that as Nobody is a much better written character to me. Roxas serves as number 13 of the original Organization 13, as the group's Keyblade wielder so that he can collect the hearts necessary to complete Kingdom Hearts. He started out as like a zombie just following orders whenever needed to, but hanging out with Axel and later on Xion, he starts to actually converse and talk with the other members, removing his zombie husk status. But events happened in 358 Days Over 2 with the organization wanting to remove Xion from a post, and Axel not telling him everything made Roxas felt like he was betrayed of both Axel's friendship and not wanting Xion gone. He eventually leaves the organization until being forced to fight by Xion herself so that she can go back to Sora. Roxas eventually encounters Riku and almost got the upper hand on him until Riku lets out the darkness inside him. In KH2, the first 3 hours you spend playing as Roxas and learning about him in a data version of Twilight Town until encountering Sora in the Chamber awakening at Castle Oblivion, and eventually goes back to him awakening Sora from his year-long slumber. We don't see Roxas again, just mentions of people calling Sora Roxas, and then near the very end of the game, Sora encounters Roxas and fights him with the other Promise playing during the fight. Roxas is my favorite for a lot of reasons, because nobodies aren't even supposed to have emotions, let alone hearts of their own. But Roxas was able to adapt and grow a heart of his own, alongside Axel and Xion as well. But the reason why that is the case is because in Dream Drop Distance, it's been informed that nobodies can eventually grow hearts and emotions, but with the organization being lied to about them having no hearts so that Master Xehanort will turn every organization member into Xehanort if finding the right candidates. Could say that it makes Roxas not a special character anymore due to that, but not a lot of the organization members have actually managed to spend quality time or to actually call people friend like Roxas does, which still makes him special. Hell, I'll even say this, as much as I don't like Kingdom Hearts Recoded with its ridiculous and pointless plot and narrative with strange gameplay, Data Roxas was honestly the only excellently written character in spite of him being, well, a data form of Roxas. In Dream Drop Distance, with the very little screen time he had, he's just like Virgil where he envies Sora. Sora is right, Roxas, you deserve the most out of everyone to be their own person, and it's a good thing that wish has been fulfilled in Kingdom Hearts 3. Roxas is awesome from start to finish, the big reason why he is my second favorite character ever made. It was so difficult choosing between Luigi and Rosalina, so both are tied here. Luigi usually rises up to the task when Mario is unavailable and attempts to be brave, and especially with Rosalina's awesomely sad backstory in Galaxy. I love James from Silent Hill 2 because not only is he such a chill guy, but you eventually realize that all the monsters in the town of Silent Hill are based on James's broken mind, such as the Pyramid Head and the attractive nurses as examples. Alice Twilight is really the point of No More Heroes 2 that starts to convey that killing will have consequences, envying Travis as to how he managed to get out, and Alice wanting to free herself from the shackles of the endless tournament. I really wish she was the final boss of the game instead of Blaster Fat Jr. Yuri Lowell is honestly my favorite protagonist in the Tales series so far. He's a chill guy that could be a total savage and also easy to be friends with. BlazBlue has a lot of awesome characters, and Professor Kokonoe is my favorite. Not just because she cracks me up, but also because she is actually the daughter of Jubei and Nine the Phantom, 2 of the 6 heroes. Picking my favorite was a bit of a struggle, but you've waited this long enough to see what my favorite video game character of all time is, and that character comes from Persona 3. I've already expressed my love on this game a lot, and that doubles for the member of Cease. All of them are very awesome, but I don't have a least favorite. Okay, that's kind of a lie, but she does get better as the game progresses, I assure you. When I made my top 10 Persona Girls list, I stated how much I loved Elizabeth due to her actions and never giving up and learning about the normal world in hilarious ways. But that was the same list that I had Aigis on there. We are introduced to Aigis during the team's trip to Yakushima while the guys were doing Operation Babe Hunt, until realizing that Aigis is actually an anti-shadow weapon, with her purpose being to destroy shadows, and also wishing to be by the main character's side at all times. I sense a robot girlfriend! She usually keeps being her robotic self for a long time, but then when controlled by Ikusuke, refuses to shoot the team members and instead breaks out of his control and frees her friends out of a crucifixion. However, during November, a transfer student by the name of Ryoji appears and Aiga suspects him as dangerous, until we learn why in the beginning of December. Aiga fought Ryoji 10 years ago in 1999, but Ryoji is known as the Uppriser, and since Aiga couldn't beat him, coincidentally the main character was there at the car crash where his parents died. Aiga founded him and sealed Ryoji inside him. Near the end of December, she is fully repaired, but she is now able to feel emotions and find out what is the meaning of life and what it means to live. Which, when she understands and decides to find out the meaning for herself and decides to fight with everyone to the very end, reconciled her persona evolving from Palladian into Athena. And now the true ending. While everyone forgot their memories after Tartarus and the Dark Hour disappeared, Aigis and the MC Makoto hadn't, and so they decided to go up the rooftop to await for the others and the promise they've all made. This moment between the two of them breaks my heart so much. Aigis acts so human, saying the means and the wills the lips. The acting on Aigis here is perfect. She sounds so human, her voice cracks, bringing in the beautiful joy of her first time seeing spring, and the answers which one day she'll find out about, and she cries on top of that. And with memories of the school playing during this moment, it's hard for me to see the scene without tearing up. It's that great, and all of which is when Makoto is resting on her lap and essentially he dies. What a perfect ending. In the Answer storyline, Aigis goes for an existential crisis to the point where she didn't even attend Makoto's funeral since it was hard for her to face him. Aigis truly deserved her own arc, and the Answer is a perfect arc for her development. Even in the big moment of stress towards the group, which I call the conflict of grievance, where everyone is on different viewpoints on what to do about Makoto's fate with the 8 keys they have. Yukari wants to save him so that she can see him once again, but the others disagree, which spurs a lot of tension, which starts the conflict of grievance. A moment where members fight 2-on-2 for the keys. Aigis was distraught over Makoto's death, and she no longer wanted to be human, but to return to her machine personality. But after her and the rest of the team set free from the Abyss of Time, Aigis still continues on attending school and living as a machine with the personality of a human girl. Robots aren't even supposed to have emotions, and when they break down, it's hard to feel bad for them because you know they can always be repaired. But Aigis is a special case for me. She starts off as a normal robot following orders to gaining emotions until having an existential crisis about the one person she loves and wants to protect the most, causing a robotic mentality wanting to be machine again rather than a human. Aigis is not only Atlas's golden girl, she is mine too. Aigis is no question, without a doubt, my favorite character in not just video games, but my favorite character in all of media. I'm Yuzuan Campbell, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day and night. I'm really gonna have such a heartful cry in my dreams tonight. Until then, see you all next time.